Welcome back to Sledgehammer Horror, guys. I am Ken Sledge.
And I'm Ashley Sledge.
And let's talk horror. Today we're going to be talking about 2003's Saw. Now, not only did this movie start a huge movement when it came out in the horror community, but also in cinema in general. The movie was shot in 2 or 3 weeks, very short filming schedule. They really went in and pounded this one out. It spawned 8 sequels, about to be 9 with Saw X being announced, a TV show upcoming, video games, numerous amounts of merchandise. So this movie is very important in the scope of horror. So do you want to start talking about it?
Yeah, so the movie begins with either underwater in like a bathtub, a pair of keys fall in the drain, and then a man wakes up out of the bathtub. He gets out, realizes that he's chained to the wall, and he's, scared, and it's dark in there, and he's like, am I dead? Is anybody there? And this is when you hear another man's voice, and he says, you're not dead. The lights turn on, and in the middle of the floor between the two men is a dead man, and he's covered in blood, and he is holding a tape recorder and a gun. So you find out that the other man that says, no, you're not dead, his name is Dr. Gordon.
Oh, Lawrence Gordon.
Lawrence Gordon. So Dr. Gordon is a surgeon. And then the man in the bathtub, his name is Adam.
They start doing a little bit of conversation. They realize that on the wall there's a brand new clock. Now they're in a room that is covered in shit and filth and disgusting.
It's like an old bathroom or something.
Yeah, but there's a brand new clock on the wall. So that clock has to be there for a reason. Someone wants them to know the time. Adam finds an envelope in his pocket. Inside is a tape. And Dr. Gordon, he tells Dr. Gordon, hey, can you look in your pocket? He says, as you wish.
As you wish.
And he looks in his pocket. He also finds a tape, a bullet, and a key. The key does not work in either one of their locks. So what is this key for? Adam is able to get the recorder in the middle of the room from the dead guy so they can play the tapes. He plays his, and he says that this could be the room you die in if you don't change who you are. Now, Dr. Gordon wants the tape recorder. And Adam says, I'm not throwing you the tape recorder. What if we break it? You throw me your tape. Again, he says, as you wish.
As you wish.
And he throws him the tape. He gets the tape. He puts it in. And the voice tells him that he has to kill Adam by 6 p.m. And if he doesn't, he will rot in the room. His daughter Allison and his wife Diana will die. Now, Dr. Gordon continues to rewind the tape because he hears something. Finally, he tells Adam, throw me the tape. Just throw it over here.
Right.
He throws it. He keeps rewinding, and he hears very faintly, follow your heart. Very, very faintly. So they start looking around the room. This is where they see a heart that is plastered on the toilet. Now, Adam goes reaching in there to try to find something and see if he can find anything in the most disgusting looking toilet I've ever seen in my entire life.
So they didn't find anything in the nasty toilet. So they look, Adam looks in the back of the toilet, and he finds a bag with 2 saws.
I wish I would have looked there first.
Yes, for real. And so he throws a saw to Dr. Gordon, and they both start sawing on their chains, but no luck. This is when Dr. Gordon comes to the realization.
He doesn't want us to cut through our chains. He wants us to cut through our feet.
So Dr. Gordon at this point thinks he knows who the kidnapper is. This man or woman still hasn't been caught. And he's actually a suspect in what's going on with everything.
Yeah. He starts to tell Adam the story from the beginning. We cut over to a crime scene where a man is dead, hanging in barbed wire. We meet Detective Tapp and Detective Singh at this point. This is when we find out that this is the Jigsaw killer. Well, technically he's not a killer because he's never killed anyone. Shut up.
No.
Dude's a killer.
He's totally
These people wouldn't be dead. If you know what I mean? Like, this is stupid. That's like saying Hitler wasn't a murderer. Well, Hitler didn't do it. Stop it. He's a killer. He's evil. He's a killer, period. And you see that he's the Jigsaw killer because he cuts jigsaw pieces out of his victims. Another victim, this guy, the reason he had cut himself. So the Jigsaw killer put him in this trap. Did you do this for attention or did you really want to die? If you want to get out of this, you're going to have to cut yourself again. Obviously, he didn't make it. He bled out. We also see that there's another victim that is burned to death after Jigsaw covered him in a flammable fluid. and put him in a room full of glass with the code to a safe on a wall with just written in numbers everywhere. At this crime scene, they actually find Dr. Gordon's pen light. So that's another huge part of the story, is finding the pen light.
So this is when it pans over to how Dr. Gordon is involved in this. They're at the hospital. Dr. Gordon is showing a bunch of students a image of a man that has an inoperable brain tumor. And this is when he puts it up on the screen, and one of the workers from the hospital walks in and says, this man, the patient that has an inoperable brain tumor, his name is John. This is when overhead he gets called down.
I love Dr. Gordon. He's like, cool story, Zep.
Yeah, like, okay.
Like, I needed to know that, Zep.
So he gets called down to his office, and in there is Detective Singh and Detective Tapp, and they show him the light that they found that belongs to him. Yeah. And they want him to come down to the station and answer some questions.
I love this scene because it feels really authentic.
Yeah.
Like the way that they're talking to him, they're like, you know, would you mind coming down? Like they're not being aggressive.
Yeah.
Like you see in a lot of like cop shows and shit. Like they're being like real. This feels like a real scene to me. Like, and then the doctor's like, well, wait a minute, hold on. What's this all about again? You know, like this scene felt really, in a movie that's full of very stiff acting at points, this was one of the top-notch scenes to me when it comes to acting. And I get there's a lot of child acting in this that was stiff, and Lee Winnell was not an actor, he was a writer, you know, so there's a lot of stiff acting in this, but this was one of the scenes where I genuinely was like, wow, this to me is one of the high points of the film. So I just wanted to say that real quick.
Yeah, I agree with that. So they ask him to set in on a I guess it's a victim of Jigsaw's, the only victim
to
survive.
Victim, yes.
He wants Dr. Gordon to listen to her story. So she comes in, her name is Amanda, and she starts telling the detectives her story. So she is trapped. She has this contraption on her head when she wakes up, and all she can taste is blood and metal. This is when a TV in front of her turns on, and this is when we meet Billy the puppet.
Yes.
Yes.
Little Billy.
Hello, Amanda. You don't know me, but I know you. I want to play a game.
He, you hear Jigsaw's voice, and he pretty much tells her that the only way to get out of this is there's a key, and it's inside of her cellmate that's lying on the floor next to her. So she goes over, lifts up his shirt, and there's a question mark and a knife.
At this point, he wakes up.
Yeah, well, he starts like moving around. You realize he's not really dead.
So he wakes up at this point, and we see him scared.
Yeah. So Amanda starts stabbing him repeatedly in the stomach, and pulls out his intestines, and it's super bloody and gory and awesome. And she gets the key and unlocks this trap right before it goes off.
Yeah.
And then enrolls Billy the puppet on his bike, and he says, congratulations, you're still alive. Most people are so ungrateful to still be alive, but not you, not anymore. And then it pans back over to the detectives, to who she's telling the story to. And the detective says, you're a drug addict, aren't you, Amanda? And this is when she starts crying and says, yes, but Jigsaw really has helped her.
And I think at this point, what they were trying to do is make Dr. Gordon break. Like, she survived you, because they really think it's him.
Right.
You know, she survived you. Now we're going to make you listen to what she has to say about what you did to her. But now we go back to the present. Adam's freaking out and picks up a piece of glass and tells Dr. Gordon he'll stab him if he doesn't give him any more information. That's when he looks at it and says, this is two-way glass, which is weird to me. I think all glass is two-way glass. I think he meant to say it's one-way mirror, because a one-way you can see through and not... Either way, not here nor there. They start throwing stuff, and they end up breaking the glass to see that there's a camera behind it. Adam feels as though Dr. Gordon is being way too calm at this point. He asks him if he's even thinking about his wife and daughter, and Dr. Gordon says that's exactly what he's thinking about, and he's thinking about the last thing he said to his daughter. Now, what I love about this, Dr. Gordon is a surgeon, so he's used to being calm and working under pressure.
Right.
So I love, again, when we're talking about a film that has a lot of stiffness to it at times, I love how this part plays out very realistically. This guy is very methodical. He's a surgeon. That's what he does. Like, he has to be calm under pressure. So I love the fact that, yes, that is what I'm doing. I'm thinking 5 steps ahead right now. I'm not thinking about right now. And And then goes to the night before when she comes out of her room and tells her mom there's a bad man in my room. She says, no, there's not a bad man. Let's go get your dad. He's in there working. She's like, fine, I'll just go. And he's like, nope, I'm done. And I love that moment. You know, at that moment, he's like, you know what? I am a father first, not a doctor first. So he goes in there and he shows her, puts her back to bed when his pager goes off. So he has to go. Obviously, he's a surgeon. He has to leave. And this is where his wife gets very, very upset. He's always leaving when they need him the most.
Right. So back to present. This is when Dr. Gordon throws his wallet to show Adam the picture of his daughter that he was just talking about. And so he looks at the picture and he's like, oh, well, what about your lucky wife? And he said, well, there's a picture of her behind that one. And so he pulls out a picture, but it's a Polaroid, and it's both of his daughter and his wife being gagged. So on the back of the Polaroid, there's a message that says, X marks the spot. You see more with your eyes shut. And then Adam tells Dr. Gordon that the picture of his wife isn't there, and he actually hides the Polaroid from him.
I think that this is another time of human decency.
Like he doesn't want to freak him out.
He doesn't want to worry. You know, like, who would want to see that? As a father, as a husband, you know, like, and I get both sides of this argument. Like, yeah, he needs to know what's going on, but how do you have the heart to show this man
when you're chained to a wall and can't do anything about
that
it?
Your whole heart is in trouble right here. So now we rewind back to the previous night. After Dr. Gordon leaves his house, after he got his beeper to go back to work, the bad man comes out of the closet and ties up Dr. Gordon's wife and his daughter at this point. So now the bad man walks over to the window, and this is where you learn that Detective Tapp has been watching the Gordon residence. And in typical Danny Glover fashion, ooh, Dr. Gordon know you're in his house, as he's taking pictures of him. And he's crazy about this case. Like, there's newspaper clippings all over the wall. And this is kind of where the turning point of Detective Tapp comes, because you see that he's just gone insane over this case. So
this is where you're starting to learn how much he is really involved in it. And he keeps rewinding Amanda's video from when she was in the contraption. And he's rewinding it over and over. This is when Detective Singh comes in and is like, I think you're obsessing. Like, you might need a girlfriend.
Yeah, you might have to get a girlfriend.
Yeah. So he's kind of standing there and watching him. And in the video, he sees a gang sign behind where she was, and it says K2K. And he tells Detective Singh, and this is when they find out that that there's a gang around there. And that turf is very little. Yeah. That's not a huge gang. They have a very small area of turf that they run. It's not far from where they are. And they also hear a fire alarm. So they kind of pinpoint where this could have been that night. And they find an abandoned warehouse. And they both go, Detective Tapp and Detective Singh go to this warehouse. And this is where they find a bunch of jigsaw stuff. Like, they find the replica of the men in the room. They find Billy the puppet. And they find a man underneath a covering that is in like a contraption type thing with drills on it. This is when they hear the elevator coming up in that abandoned warehouse. And another fight breaks out here, a mini fight between Singh and Tapp, where Singh's like, let's just get him. And Tapp's like, no, hide. Yeah. You know, like, what a stupid fucking move. Like, why would you hide? Get the guy. He's right there. I'm Team Singh on this one. So they hide. They do what Detective Tapp wants to do. They cover the man back up. They hide. The elevator comes up, and it's Jigsaw in a cape. You never see his face at this point. You never see his face at this point yet. So he's walking in, and this is when they jump out at him. And Jigsaw, he pushes a button on the guy that's tied up's contraption, and this is when the drills start going off. And he's like, well, now you have a choice. Arrest me or save another's life. And as they're trying to get this contraption shut off, Singh is going after the contraption. Yeah. Tapp is going after Jigsaw. Right. So Singh, shoots the drills so that the guy doesn't die. And Detective Tapp is running after Jigsaw. And this is when Jigsaw takes out a knife and slits Detective's throat. So as he's laying there bleeding out after he gets his throat cut, Detective Singh runs after Jigsaw. He shoots him. Jigsaw falls down. Singh starts going. He hits a tripwire that the shotguns go off and shoot Detective Singh in the head, killing him.
The man gets up and runs away. We see Detective Tapp trying to go after him, but he is unsuccessful. He lays down. But we come back to the present day. Detective Tapp sitting in the motel room. His neck is healed. You could tell that he's had surgery on his neck. So he did not die from the throat cut.
Right. So then back to Adam and Gordon. Adam's super standoffish with Dr. Gordon at this point because he feels like he knows more than he's telling. So Adam tells Dr. Gordon to turn the light off. And when he turns off the light, there's a glowing X painted on the wall. So Dr. Gordon, knocks in the tile or whatever and gets out this box that was in the wall. And this is when he realizes the key that was in his envelope was for this box. So he opens up the box, and inside the box is a cell phone, 2 cigarettes, and a note. That the note says, "Shh, Dr. Gordon," because obviously they don't want Adam to know.
Yeah.
He says cigarettes are only poisonous when it's in bloodshed.
Yeah, the cigarettes you have here are harmless. But what we didn't say earlier was the man's blood. He had so much poison in his body that the only option was to shoot himself. So obviously the poison is in his bloodstream. So the cigarettes are harmless unless they end in bloodshed.
Yeah, so think about it. You don't even have to use a gun to kill Adam. So, he could dip the cigarette in the guy's blood.
Yeah.
So Dr. Gordon tries to call the police on the phone, but clearly it doesn't work.
This phone is just for incoming calls.
Right. It's just beeping. And that's when he thinks about, this just happened to me last night. My phone wasn't working. And this is when he is in a parking garage, and he knows someone else is there with him. He hears a camera go off. So this is when his phone isn't working in the parking garage, and he sees the phone on the wall, stops his car, gets out, and picks up the phone. This is when you see that there is someone in the back of his car crawling out with a pig mask on, and then this person attacks him.
Right. They go back to present time. Dr. Gordon wants to know how Adam knew to shut the light off. Now, earlier they were being standoffish. Now they're being even more standoffish, Adam's like, it was instinct. And Dr. Gordon's like, you're a bad liar. Adam's like, you don't know a thing about me. And then now this is where Adam shows Dr. Gordon the Polaroid of his wife and daughter. I don't know if Dr. Gordon gets angry or upset or both, but right here he starts to really freak out. Like, why didn't you tell me? He's like, how could I tell you? You could see that Adam was really, really worked up about it. At this point, Dr. Gordon has an idea. He shuts the light off. He whispers to Adam, hey, just play along. He throws him the cigarette that's dipped in blood. Adam takes a hit and then ends up giving the worst performance of somebody being poisoned I've ever seen in my entire life. Dr. Gordon's like, look, he's dead. I poisoned him. What else do you want from me? All of a sudden, Adam starts wigging out. He's like, I just got electrocuted. And Dr. Gordon's pissed. He's like, this was our way out. And Adam's like, you think I did this on purpose? I just got electrocuted. Like, what do you want from me? But something triggered in his brain when this happened. He's like, I remember everything. We see Adam was at home in his red room developing pictures, and he hangs a picture of Dr. Gordon. So
crazy enough.
Adam does know more than he's let on. He wakes up in his dark apartment and uses his camera flash, which is another great scene. He's walking through his dark apartment, hitting the camera, trying to see if there's somebody in there. You hear Billy the Puppet's scary laugh. Adam opens the closet. A pig jumps out, attacks him, and knocks him out as well.
So at this point, the cell phone starts to ring, and Dr. Gordon answers it, and it's his daughter, and she's crying, and she says, I'm scared, Daddy. The bad man from my closet is here, and he has a gun.
Okay, the movie's full of stiff acting, and the acting here is not great, but god damn is it heartbreaking.
It's sad. So his wife gets on, and she's like, Larry? She's like, is Adam there? And Dr. Gordon at this point's like, what? Like, how do you know Adam?
Yeah.
How do you know he's here? And she was like, don't believe anything he says. He knew a lot about you before today. And
what I love about this is now this is Jigsaw turning them on each other again. Part of the game.
Yeah, exactly. So they hang up with his wife and daughter, and he says, my wife mentioned your name. And Adam, he's acting clueless, like he doesn't know what's going on.
The worst acting in the whole movie. You know who I am. He looks like a little boy that just got scolded. What do you mean, Dr. Gordon? You know who I am. Like, it's so stupid. Like, it's bad. I love you, Lee Winnell. You're probably one of my top 10 favorite people on the planet. But goddamn, this was rough to watch. So Dr. Gordon tells Adam, she told me not to believe you, that
you know a lot about me. And this is when Adam kind of gets mad. Like, oh, I'm the liar? You're a liar. Like, what were you doing last night?
Yeah.
He was like, do you recall getting your picture taken in the parking garage?
This is like the 8th time we see Dr. Gordon walk out, rub his eyes, get his picture taken, and look up. Like, it starts to get to the point where it's like, guys, we've seen this scene like, 8 times.
Let's move on from this.
Yeah, you're really using this as a filler now. So
you learn that Adam, he takes pictures of rich men that cheat on their wives.
And the pictures of him.
Pictures that he had taken were in the bag with the saws because he had thrown that bag into the bathtub to hide that as well.
So now Dr. Gordon wants to know who paid him to take the pics. And my mind instantly went to the wife. You know, she's like, he knows about you. Like, that's where my mind went. And Adam reveals that it was just a guy named John or Joe, like just some schmuckatelli. And then it comes to realize it was just a tall black man with a scar around his neck. Light bulb. Dr. Gordon's like, oh my gosh, it's Detective Tapp. In the pics, they see someone in Dr. Gordon's house. This is when Dr. Gordon realizing it was Zepp, the orderly at the hospital, that informed us that his name is John. Back to Dr. Gordon's wife and daughter. His wife fights Zepp over the gun. The gun goes off a couple times, and Detective Tapp runs over there. He starts fighting with Zepp. Zepp gets away, and the detective chases him, and they end up going to the abandoned warehouse. So obviously Zepp knows where it is. He's going to finish his job as the jigsaw killer to kill off everybody that's at the warehouse.
Right. So back to Dr. Gordon and Adam.
Well, Dr. Gordon was on the phone this whole time.
Yeah, he can hear, the guns going off and the screaming, and like, if that's not terrifying enough. So
right.
This completely makes him go mad. He's crazy at this point. He takes off his shirt, he ties it around his ankle, and he saws his freaking foot off.
Yeah.
I was just like, what just happened? Yeah. So while all this is happening, this is when the chase between...
The worst editing I've ever seen. The jump cuts here just give me a fucking headache, but it keeps jumping back and forth between the chase and Detective Gordon cutting his foot off.
So they're Detective Tapp and Zepp are at the warehouse fighting over the gun, and Zepp shoots Detective Tapp.
Killing him? In this world, yes.
Maybe?
But if you play the video games, no. Detective Tapp is part of the video games. But we are going to say in the canon of the movies, this is where we lose our beloved Danny Glover.
So Detective Gordon, he crawls to the center of the room and grabs the gun, and he shoots Adam.
It's the only way.
It's the only way. Sorry, Adam. Adam falls down, and this is when Zepp opens the door to the room that the two men are in. And Dr. Gordon's like, you know, calling him everything that he possibly can.
I'll kill you.
He was like, I killed Adam. And Zepp's like, it's too late. It's the rules.
Yeah.
You didn't do it by 6 p.m. And this is when Adam gets up and he starts attacking Zepp.
Beats him to death.
With the back of the toilet. He just beats him.
So, oh my God, I love this scene so much.
Yeah, that's pretty cool looking.
Yeah, and then this is where Dr. Gordon is super pale from losing the blood. He tells Adam, if I don't get out of here, I'm going to die.
Yeah.
I'm going to bleed to death. So I'm going to go get help. I'll be back. I promise you, I will be back.
I mean, at this point, Adam's probably like, yeah, okay, buddy. You're not even going to make it down the hallway.
Right. So Adam starts digging through Zepp's pockets. You know, I've killed Jigsaw. I need to get the key so I can get the hell out of here, not only to save myself, but to help save Dr. Gordon.
Because he doesn't think he's going to come back.
Right. Well, this is when he finds Zepp's recorder and the iconic do-do-do, do-do-do, do-do. Oh, my favorite. You know, Zepp's song starts playing, and you get the montage of events that led up to that moment. And Zepp is also just a pawn in Jigsaw's game. So
he's not Jigsaw.
That's a twist. That's very twisty.
Well, then who is Jigsaw?
So this is when the dead man in the center of the room stands up and he peels the fake skin off of him that looks like he got his head blown off.
But he was dead. He
Yeah.
hasn't moved this whole time.
That whole time he was there. Didn't move once.
Didn't see it coming, did ya?
And he tells Adam, the key to that chain that you have around your ankle, that's in that bathtub right there.
I love the key to that chain is in the bathtub. And Adam's just like,
Yeah. So Adam's like, fuck this guy, and tries to go shoot him, and he gets zapped by the chain on his leg, and throws the gun.
Yep.
And this is when Jigsaw says, game over, and does the iconic slam and shuts the door.
So that is our Didn't See It Coming on Saw, a movie that I'm so blessed I got to see in theater,
Yeah.
opening night, unspoiled.
Had no idea what was going on, and
Right.
it was just like goosebumps when you know, the chain of events all start in
Yeah.
that song. Like,
Yes.
yes.
My absolute favorite movie theater experience I've ever had. Now, guys, we want to thank you so much for joining us. As always, this has been such an amazing time, and we love talking horror with you guys. So make sure that you are liking this video, hitting that subscribe button so you can join us for the ride. Our next Didn't See That Coming is going to be a little tricky, so keep your finger on the pulse and be ready for that one. Learn your identity on that. So until the next time, though, I am Ken Sledge.
And I'm Ashley Sledge.
Keep talking horror,
Stay who you are.
and we'll see you guys soon.
Bye, guys.
Game over.